a masculine woman is never wanted by any. When you talk about a masculine woman, when you talk about masculinity, what are the traits? It's you meet a typical woman who has been cheated upon in her last 3 relationships by some dudes, right? And now you are guy number 4 in the picture. You might end up being. I happen to speak to a lot of ladies from different demographics, and you will be shocked that most women we tell you alike. And there was someone making a street interview talking about what are your criteria for dating a guy, or what is your ideal man, and you'll be shocked to hear most of the things you hear today is. Hi guys, welcome to another episode of Wet Waters. It's me, your humble host, Mr. K. Imagine a scenario where someone comes knocking at the door at 2 a.m. in the morning. You need some level of courage to go address that situation, or you're pulling out the driveway and you find out that your tire is deflated and you have to address that situation. Or maybe there is a need to change the light bulb. In a society like we have today where a lot of women are out there divorced or single or separated, we have a situation where they have to stand up and exhibit some level of strength in order to get things going for themselves and their kids. However, in trying to, exhibit that strength, in trying to be a strong woman, oftentimes there is a thin line between being strong and being masculine. Like I would always say, life most times is about 70% psychology, how we respond to things, which brings us to this very beautiful topic we have today, the difference between a strong woman and a masculine woman. A strong woman is useful to our family, she's useful to our society at large, she's useful to our husbands and kids, However, on the other hand, a masculine woman is not useful to the society, she's not useful to our family. And like I would always say, a true man would always want to be around a strong woman. However, on the other hand, a masculine woman is never wanted by any true man, because no man wants to be in a relationship where he says one and the woman is saying two, rather than trying to harmonize our ideas with that of the one the man has said. So it's very important we look at this topic. First of all, let's look at the traits. What are the traits that are associated with being strong? And what are the traits associated with being masculine? When you talk about being strong, on one hand, we talk about features like being confident, being courageous, being optimistic, no matter how bad the situation might be, being hopeful that something good can come out of it, being empathetic. These are features and characteristics of a strong woman. On the other hand, when you talk about a masculine woman, when you talk about masculinity, what are the traits? It's aggression, the capacity to be aggressive. That is number one. We talk about traits like, having lack of considerations, not being able to sympathize emotionally at some points. These are all features of masculinity. But if we are being pragmatic, we can agree that the current situation of things in our society today, we have lots of women who are in positions where they are independent, and these women have problems with, juggling between jobs and, trying to play the role of career woman and also trying to attend to our kids, especially in cases where the women already have kids. So in trying to juggle between all these things just to make sure she can build something for herself and so on, the woman take up that feature of a strong woman. The woman has to be strong, because imagine a woman lives alone on her own and she has to change the light bulb and things like that. These are, features of being strong. However, there's a thin line that women in this position have to be very mindful of, because failure to do that, she veers into the realm of masculinity. And like I would always say, a masculine trait is never wanted by any man. What men seek out there is, strong women. And this is the essence of a podcast like this, where we can actually come and talk about, some of these gray areas and shine light more on them to help us get sensitized on some of these things that bothers around relationships today. So we're going to talk about establishing the dangers of being a masculine woman. Like I would always say to my friends, women tend to be more emotional compared to men. I think we can safely say that. And like I would always tell my friends, women tend to live in a feelings world. Emotions Men, on the other hand, tend to live in a facts world, logic. Disclaimer, I'm not saying that women are not logical, but what I'm trying to say is more times women tend to give in to their emotions, their feelings compared to men. And this is the reason why you have a scenario where a man cheats. When a man is caught cheating, he will say things like, oh, it is the devil's work and all of that. All he's talking about is usually facts and he's apologizing and all of that. But most times when women are caught cheating, they say things like, oh, he wasn't giving me enough attention. I felt lonely. I felt he didn't care about me. I felt feelings. It's all about the feelings world. On the other hand, men is all about facts world, logic, So this is why when we talk about the topic we have today, we want to relate how masculinity varies with emotionality. And for the sake of a particular standard, we could use aggression, which is one of the forms of masculinity, which is one of the features of masculinity, the capability to be aggressive. Take an example. There is a war that's been going on between Russia and Ukraine for quite a while, okay? And they've been sending, food soldiers, they've been sending fighter jets and all of that from Russia to Ukraine and back and forth like that. However, we cannot dispute the fact that Russia has all it takes to wipe out Ukraine in a matter of minutes. They have nuclear weapons, okay? But why is it they don't come to that? Because, of course, they're just trying to establish some position between themselves, okay? And as a result, they have to just do what they have to stand their grounds and, make their positions known to the world. Speculatively speaking, I would say this, speculatively speaking, if it were a woman that was in charge of these things, maybe she's just on that day of the month and she's like, really? That small country trying to fuck with us? Before you know, the nuclear weapon is pressed and boom, we have World War III on our hands. So this is why I would always say women tend to give in to their feelings compared to men. And based on this, masculinity in its sense, being mixed or found in the realm of emotionality is a very great danger. Okay, we give an example. A man who has been in 3 relationships in the past, consecutively cheated upon by his 3 exes, right? Now, this man meets girl number 4. When she comes into the picture, yes, he might have little traumas here and there from the past experiences, but he can still objectively and logically give this girl a chance to prove herself, to know how to get to understand her personality for who she is. But of course, we cannot say this when it comes to women. You meet a typical woman who has been cheated upon in her last 3 relationships by some dudes, right? And now you are guy number 4 in the picture. You might end up paying for the sins of these guys because of all the traumatic experiences. At some point, she might begin to feel, okay, are you sure it's not going to do this? This is what this other guy did, blah, blah, blah. So this is why I always say that women tend to give more to their feelings. They give in more to their feelings compared to men. And this is why we can confidently say that emotionality is not a good place for masculinity to dwell in. And that's why I would say a man can be masculine because that is what he is meant to be based on his, mental construct. Men generally always dwelling in facts realm, in logic realm. Women, on the other hand, tend to live so much in feelings realm. They tend to live in emotions realm. So masculinity in the realm of emotion can be very catastrophic, and which is why women who tend to be strong by virtue of their independence, because they have no man around their lives, they must be able to draw that thin line between being strong and being masculine. Because like I said earlier on, a masculine woman is not useful to her husband. A masculine woman is not useful to her kids. But on the other hand, a strong woman will always be there to support her husband rather than, oppose her husband as a masculine woman would do. Let's take a break. You get some coffee and I'll be right back. Welcome back, guys. Now we want to talk about how masculine women are formed, because I understand that some women out there, you might think, okay, how do I know when I'm no longer strong? I'm now masculine. How do I know when I've crossed the line and all of that? Firstly, we want to state this. Women who tend to become independent as a result of being single or being divorced or being separated long enough are all at risk of being masculine. And this boils down to the number one reason, which I would like to talk about: divorce here and there, separation here and there. Because at that point where women are put in a position where there is no longer a man in their life, now they have to use the word man up and try to get things done for themselves, for their kids. And then this is why I would always address the issue of the choices women make in trying to pick a man. Today, I happen to speak to a lot of ladies from different demographics, and you will be shocked that most women will tell you, I like bad guys, And in my opinion, I just feel it's very laughable. It's ridiculous, because when a woman tells you, I love a bad guy, you now begin to wonder, there is no bad guy who will become a good husband simply because you've married him. And the notion that, okay, he's going to change someday and, be a better person, blah, blah, blah. For me, I think it's self-denial, and it's expensive to actually make that assumption. It's very expensive to make such an assumption that a man is going to change after you get married. For me, it's just a form of delusions. So I think it's very important that women can be more focused on the criteria on which they make life partner choices. I was watching a video the other day, and there was someone making a street interview talking about what are your criteria for dating a guy, or what is your ideal man. And you'll be shocked to hear most of the things you hear today is girls talk about six figures, making six figures, being 6 foot tall, and talking about having six packs, And for me, I think in as much as everybody has a preference, but that should not be the foremost of, criteria. I think it's important people talk more about the manliness of a man, being responsible, being able to provide, and being able to protect, and talk about things like integrity, because you don't want to choose a man today that at the end of the day, you're going to fight for divorce with him in the next couple of years. We've even seen instances where people fight for divorce while they're on honeymoon. It's very laughable. There was an incident like that, back in Nigeria. And in my opinion, I think women should be more conscious of this, so that women don't end up breaking up with guys or filing for a divorce and now being single. They are now in this situation, this position where they have to be strong for themselves, thereby risking the possibility of being masculine. And like I said earlier, one of the masculine traits is, being aggressive. And these are things that could be exhibited in subsequent relationships because of you've had breakups, and at the end of the day, you were single for such a long time, and you had to be strong for yourself to get things done, and build something for yourself and for your kids. And at the end of the day, you meet another man in a relationship, and there is this traumatic reaction. It's like a defense that has been built as a result of past traumas. And at the end of the day, a woman tends to be more masculine than she should be. So we must understand that this is a very great factor that affects women who are independent, who are not in relationships, and who are in that position where they have to be, strong, and thereby risking being masculine. So having said that, women must be very mindful of the dangers of mixing masculinity and emotionality in our society today, and must be very careful on choosing partners so they don't end up in a position where they have to be strong, thereby risking being masculine. And we're going to put up some of the features of being masculine and being strong. And this brings us to the end of a very good segment today. And we're going to give you a review of what our street survey is concerning this topic, the difference between a masculine woman and a strong woman. So women have to understand the dangers of mixing masculinity with emotionality. And we must also look at how these things come about, because picking the right partners today in the society will help women in general to not find themselves in a position where they have no option but to be strong for themselves and their kids, thereby being predisposed to masculine traits. And we're going to put up some of the masculine traits that you can look out for in your, in your day-to-day life, and be sure that you are able to recognize that thin line between being a strong woman and being masculine. Having said that, I would like us to have a look at some of the opinions of from our street survey. And I would like you guys to also drop some comments, constructive comments about your thoughts on this in the comment section. And we would appreciate supporting us on social media by following our social media handles. And till I see you guys next time, stay blessed.